Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial video for the Highway Safety Grant process provided through the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police. The purpose of this video is to guide would-be applicants through the steps they must complete in order to participate in the program. This tutorial will focus on the process of applying for and receiving grant funds, as well as any specific deadlines. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The first section of this presentation is entitled Ground Rules. There are several guidelines an agency must abide by to receive and sustain grant funding. Additionally, there are several actions that may disqualify an agency from receiving current or even future funding. We will cover these actions throughout this section. Agency priorities need to align with the priority objectives of the grant program, which are the increased use of safety measures such as seat belts, a decrease in DUI, and a reduction of speeding. Alignment in these areas will make grant application easier for the applying agency. In order for an agency to be eligible to receive grant funding, they must have participated in 3 specific enforcement events this year. First, they must have participated in the December holiday enforcement, which focuses on DUI reduction. Second, they must have participated in the May mobilization enforcement designed to increase highway safety with a focus on seatbelt use. Third, agencies must participate in the August National Crackdown Enforcement, which is also aimed at reducing the number of DUIs. These 3 events is a primary way in which an agency can be disqualified from funding. Failure to participate triggers a review of the agency's current and future grant eligibility. Another way to be disqualified is to miss a voucher reimbursement deadline. Documentation of incurred costs from a qualifying event must be submitted no later than 45 days after the event. If an agency misses this deadline, they will receive a letter requesting the paperwork to be filed by 60 days after the event. If the agency still fails to submit documentation, they will no longer be eligible for reimbursement for this specific event and will have their eligibility for the grant funding reviewed. To purchase radar units and in-car cameras. It's important to note that an agency is required to participate in the Selective Traffic Grant Program for 2 fiscal years after receiving grant funds. Failure to participate may result in the agency refunding the cost of purchased equipment to the granting organization, and all equipment to be purchased with grant funds must be acquired by December 31st of the award's fiscal year. Also, grant funds may not be used for the purchase of body cameras. Now we will move on to our requirements section. In this section, we will discuss specific deadlines associated with grant funding and any additional restrictions on those grant funds. Basically, we will dig down and go through what specific paperwork needs to be filed and the submission deadlines for that paperwork. To start off, grant applications for the upcoming fiscal year must be submitted by March 31st of the previous year. Agencies who receive a grant award will be notified by May 5th of the current year. Grant contracts and agreements are processed between August 1st and September 1st. Agencies must stop all grant-funded activities for the previous fiscal year by September 1st. Activities for the upcoming fiscal year award recipients may begin on October 1st and conclude September 1st of the following year. Agencies must submit final reimbursement and vouchers for the previous year by October 10th, or they will be prevented from accessing upcoming grant funding. All equipment must be purchased in the first 3 fiscal months of the program. So let's quickly review the December 31st purchase Agencies deadline. Must file paperwork demonstrating their participation in the 3 national enforcement events, follow guidelines for equipment purchases, and abide by established deadlines. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the process section. The first process step is to review the grant requirements and objectives found in the HS-2 form to ultimately decide whether their agency will be able to fulfill these requirements. It's important to understand the commitments and objectives involved because failure to comply could have adverse effects on the agency for which they are requesting grant funding, and the anticipated dollar amount for each event. Events should be identified through both title and date. This anticipated cost must include any equipment purchased by the agency for qualifying enforcement events. Each event must be vouchered separately, including signatures from the project director and authorizer. If these individuals happen to be the same person, said individual will need to sign each voucher requesting funds to purchase in-car cameras or radar units must submit a separate narrative providing additional information. Historically, there has been insufficient funding available to satisfy these equipment requests. The Traffic Safety Committee will use the additional information provided by the separate narratives to prioritize which agencies receive funding. These items have a separate purchase deadline and may be acquired through the first 8 fiscal months of the program, with all
Agencies
invoices
will
due
submit
by
vouchers,
June 1st, event summaries, and daily reports that support their claimed expenses. When completing vouchers for the DUI and OPHVE events, agencies must include an itemized list of purchased equipment and specify overtime allotments up to the guaranteed minimum. As we briefly covered earlier, agencies may encounter circumstances where they qualify for additional funding. Additional funding is requested separately at the bottom of the HS-1 form under the Additional Funding section. These funds exceed the amounts authorized by the funding formula found on the allocation sheets. The state guarantees a minimum of $2,000 each for DUI and OPHVE enforcement, but no agency may receive more than $25,000 each, regardless of size or severity of the problem. The Traffic Safety Committee disperses additional funds based on availability,
Any funds not
performance,
used to cover the
and
costs
previous
of
use of
qualifying
overtime
events
will revert back to the highway safety account to be used for the following year's highway safety plan. Expenditures specified on the vouchers should be supported by officer daily activity reports and an event summary report. Daily activity reports should be supplied by all officers involved in the event. Reimbursement cannot occur until these reports are filed. They should be submitted after each event, but no later than October 10th of the award year. A review is conducted by the NHTCA to ensure all reports are filed of the specific resources available to grant applicants. Grant application forms are available and can be downloaded from the LE Highway Safety Grants Network project site. All the instruction forms are in PDF format, while the application forms are in Excel format. It's important to note that applications must be submitted in the Excel format. The forms in the grant application packet are located in the File section of the site under the Current Fiscal Year Grant Documents category. The forms in the packet include department allocations for alcohol overtime enforcement grant funding, department allocations for the OPHVE overtime enforcement grant funding, Form HS-1 for applying for grant funds which have been allocated for each agency, as well as HS-2,
I'd like to thank you for watching this tutorial
which
video
specifies
for
grant
the highway
requirements
safety grant
and
process,
objectives, and encourage you to visit the LE Highway Safety Grants Network page available at the end of this video for more information. Thanks, and have a great day!